This is JordangeVision. Pull up a seat and kick up your feet. Welcome, guys. How we doing? Time for another episode of The People versus O.J. Simpson, and we just got two left. We're on episode number 9. So what happened last time? Episode 7 ended with, the big glove thing, and, the defense kind of getting that win, and the prosecution kind of wondering, why did we do that? But episode 8 starts with the DNA evidence and kind of gets them back on the prosecution side. Like, DNA is still a very new thing at the time in 1995. I don't think people understood just how accurate it is. But they were saying, like, there's a 1 out of 170 million odds that blood is someone other than OJ's. So yeah, it kind of looked bleak for OJ again. Before they showed the DNA stuff, they were kind of showing a poker night in jail with OJ and Kardashian and 2 buddies. And right after that DNA stuff happened, I guess it was the next scheduled poker night, and the 2 buddies didn't show up. It was just Bobby and OJ. And again, in episode 7, it kind of started showing Bobby having doubts about OJ's innocence, and that kind of escalated in episode 8 as well. He argued with his ex-wife, Kris Jenner, about why is he defending OJ, like, earlier in the series, and episode 8 showed him having a conversation with Jenner again, kind of breaking down and saying, I can't believe I'm doing this, I want out, but I can't get out, like, I can't be the one to quit, I just need to get through this case and get this behind me. And the episode ends with someone at a tip line, answering the phone saying, hello, this is the OJ tip line. And, he's writing down what the person is telling him, and it says they found tapes of Mark Fuhrman. Mark Fuhrman testified earlier. He was very, very aggressively cross-examined by F. Lee Bailey, saying, have you ever used the N-word? Have you ever referred to anyone as the N-word? Is that word part of your vocabulary? Anything like that? And he denied it on the stand. But apparently this person who's calling the tip line has tapes that contradict that. And that's what the episode ended on, so I imagine that is where episode 9 is going to go. So without further ado, let's get into episode 9 and check that out, shall we? Before I get started, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and don't forget, reacting to art is sharing art. Channels like these benefit everyone from the viewers all the way up to the original creators themselves. Also, reminder, spoilers are likely, so if you haven't seen this episode yet and would like to, please feel free to click off and take care of that first. I'll be here when you get back. For those of you who are sticking with me, pull up a seat, kick up your feet. This is The People vs. O.J. Simpson, episode 9, and the title is Manna from Heaven. Can't wait. Here we go.
Today in Trial O.J., lawyers argued over whether the former Heisman winner is an arthritic cripple incapable of murder.
The arthritis defense?
He may look like Tarzan, but he moves like Tarzan's grandfather.
I mean, he was older. He was like 47, 48 at the time.
Simpson taped just 2 weeks before the murder.
Break it all the way down.
Oh, no.
Feel it in your knee.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
Yes.
He's definitely capable.
Laura Hart McKinney, who used to live in Los Angeles, who has tapes of LAPD officer Mark Fuhrman.
Oh, she's got the tapes.
We believe our client is innocent, and your tapes could really help him.
Well, I don't want to help him.
Yeah, she thinks he's guilty.
About the LAPD, I met Mark, and I interviewed him for research.
So there are tapes. What does he say?
Yeah, what does he say?
I never asked to be a part of this.
Yeah. Keep at it.
And you heard a commotion near Nicole Brown Simpson's condominium?
Yes, I heard 2 men arguing. The first man...
Yeah, who's this guy?
Hey.
The second voice that you heard, it sounded like the voice of a black man. Is that correct?
Object to, Your Honor. I object.
Sustained.
This is ridiculous.
Sustained, Mr.
I mean, it is sort of relevant.
We know that the witness told a friend that he heard the angry yell of an older man who sounded black.
I resent that statement, Your Honor. You cannot tell by somebody's voice whether they are black. That is a racist statement. And
I mean, not always, but sometimes you can.
All right, I didn't make the statement. The witness...
Oh, please, Mr. Darden.
Then he is the racist, not me. But
Yeah, that's true.
You continually make
Wait.
statements about me and race, Mr. Cochran.
Wait, all right, stop it,
Yeah,
both of you. This is all improper. I'm so mad.
Yeah,
at
we're
both
getting
of
away
you
from the
guys
case
right
here.
now. Let's take a recess so you can cool off. We will resume in 15.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
His witness was failing, so Johnny threw a racial stink bomb to deflect attention. That guy saw a Bronco near Bundy.
Yeah, that's what you gotta focus on.
Yeah. Tapes exist. I think they're
Let's
really
get 'em.
ugly. They have phrases like,
He doesn't want to say it.
Christ, can we confirm the authenticity?
I've asked around. Her lawyers have shot the tapes to London papers, TV tabloids.
Are they just audio tapes, or...?
Snippets.
A wannabe screenwriter. She was living in L.A. She couldn't make a living, so she moved to North Carolina to teach screenwriting.
I don't understand. How can you teach screenwriting if you can't sell a script?
People who do, and people who can't do, teach.
These tapes will allow Mr. Simpson to walk free.
Yeah. Did Fuhrman actually say frame them?
God brought us these tapes. There's something much larger at play here. This
That's your title.
is manna from heaven.
I was just about to say that.
Who is this woman? Just makes no sense why Fuhrman would blab to an unemployed screenwriter.
Hey, why would Fuhrman do anything? I'm not going to pretend like I'm surprised.
Still not 100% sure I understand the relationship there, but tapes are tapes.
The defense has been obsessed with creating stories for the jury, and lawyers resort to stories to distract from the facts.
You know, Marcia, people like stories.
I like stories.
Now, who can deny there isn't a higher power watching over us?
Ah.
Yeah, get the subpoena.
You still need to get a judge in North Carolina to enforce the subpoena.
A small technicality. I will venture forth.
You can do that, right?
Well, obviously, I will accompany you. I mean, I discovered Fuhrman, for God's sake. I mean, I invented him.
Hang on,
You invented him?
Then it should be me. I have a winning record in that jurisdiction. I tried over 200 cases there.
200? Really? When?
Dude gets around.
Seems like yesterday.
Maybe it was yesterday.
And I know the Carolinas. Like I know the caramel color in a single barrel apple brandy. Sipped over the blush of the morning sunrise.
Maybe you shouldn't brag about knowing that.
I hired all of you. You know, whatever. I don't grovel. Just make sure you put my name on the brief.
That's all Shapiro cares about.
Here are the transcripts.
So they get to read what the tape says.
Shall we?
All right. The Fuhrman tapes. I don't know how much of this I can show. The word is definitely in there. Just in case I can't show it, you know, they're just kind of zooming in on the word. You can't really see everything it says, but...
The bastard is nailed, dead. He directly contradicts the trap I laid when he testified.
Lee, it's more than that. This is what black people have always known. And now, it's right here. For everyone to hear.
Get those tapes, man.
These tapes are tangible evidence of the Los Angeles Police Department's racism.
They're proof that Fuhrman lied, at least. At the very least. Yeah.
Mr. Cochran, there are no TV cameras in my courtroom. There's no need for gratuitous alliteration. Your request is denied.
He's used to that.
Tapes are not material to your case.
How are they not?
Who is that man to say that they're not relevant?
I can see that they don't really have anything directly to do with the murder, but they're proof of the credibility of a witness.
Mr. Cochran, take a good look where you're standing. We're in the South. Right behind you, there's a statue of a Confederate soldier holding a rifle. With all due respect, I don't know if you play as well in Dixie.
Yeah, I can see that.
May I state, first of all, what a pleasure it is to be practicing law once again in the great state of North Carolina.
Butter him up.
As the Bible tells us, seek and ye shall find. And I thank the Lord for helping us to find these terribly troubling tapes.
Yeah. You know you want to, Judge.
A good amount of time for all of you to wade through the materials and decide how much, if any, you want to introduce.
Oh, we'll want to introduce plenty, Your Honor. Maybe all of them.
Your Honor, we will fight that. Mark Fuhrman consulting on a screenplay has no bearing on a murder trial.
It has bearing on his credibility as a witness.
The truth, Marcia. They have a right to know. This isn't a smoking gun in the Simpson case. This is a smoking gun for the United States. Your Honor.
Actually, Mr. Cochran, I wouldn't jump to any conclusions. I need to review precedent and make a determination. Until then, you and your assistants may review the tapes.
Oh, so Ito might not allow him? So, it's not quite over yet. There's a lot of tapes. That's gotta be like hours. I mean, that's just the average person binge-watching a Netflix show.
See, if you did it like they teach you in the academy, you'd never get a fucking thing done. If the suspect doesn't talk, you give him a shot in the stomach with your stick and you say, "Listen, boy, I'm talking to you." Grab him by the hair,
that's
keep punching him
already
until he goes
horrible.
down. People don't want Mexicans. They don't want anybody but good people. To get them out,
And
that's fine.
they're the opposite of good people. Oh, I hate this guy already.
You still use the chokehold?
No, we had to eliminate it because a bunch down in the south of LA complained.
Really, dude? Marcia's like, no. Chris is like, I told you.
The longer this trial goes, the lower your numbers drop.
No. When we get to the March primary and people are still talking about O.J. Simpson, there's something seriously wrong with this world.
Oh, Gil's running for something, I guess.
Zito ruled on the tapes?
Not yet. And we were fighting to keep them out. But while we were reviewing them, we heard something unexpected.
Oh, is his name on the tapes?
This is bad.
No, I know. He hates Mexicans. He uses the N-word. He's a sexist pig.
Yeah, we know all that.
Somebody he hates that none of us saw coming.
Oh, who might that be? You?
I hate this woman. You know the type. Dyed blonde, 1-inch roots, slumped shoulders, a pouch big enough to hide cats in. She's the only marsupial on the police force.
Marsupial?
Peggy barely worked in the field.
Wait, whoa.
Peggy. Oh, it's his wife, maybe.
You talking about Peggy York?
Ito's wife, yeah.
Hell, she's as far from a woman as I've seen. She just sucked and fucked.
We saw her fill out that form and she said she didn't know him.
Our star witness insulting the judge's wife?
Yep, not only does Fuhrman hate blacks, he hates Peggy York, the highest-ranking woman in the LAPD.
Didn't she sign the affidavit?
Sure. Was assigned
Yep,
to the
she
case.
did.
Peggy claims she had no memory of any dealings with Fuhrman, which seems hard to believe since we learned she reprimanded him for writing KKK on a Martin Luther King poster.
How does this guy have a job?
Oh, God. So, which means she can be called as a material witness, in which case Ito has to disqualify himself, which means we're looking at a mistrial.
Yeah, that would
$6
suck.
million. This screams gross incompetence.
I don't know how they got out of this, to be honest. I'm very intrigued to see.
Do we want a mistrial? Just start over. Learn from our mistakes. Do it without Fuhrman.
That probably actually would be better for them.
Ito gets tossed for the conflict, they get a new trial.
Jesus, a complete do-over. Wait a minute. Try the case again. We can't live through this again.
And the scenario is unthinkable. We are this close to them being admitted.
Yeah, double-edged sword. Maybe they don't want it now.
The interactions Fuhrman described, given their explosive vocabulary, would seem to make it hard for Peggy to forget them.
Yeah, how could you?
This whole situation is toxic.
Yeah, no shit.
I don't want there to be any insinuation that we tried to keep this contained, so this conversation should continue in open court. Thank you, if you'll excuse me.
Not what the judge wanted to hear.
It could be argued that the court would not want the court's wife to be embarrassed. And what's unfortunate is that things are said about people all the time. Things that are not accurate, not kind.
Yeah.
Spiritual.
Ever been in a Facebook forum? It happens everywhere.
I love my wife dearly. And I am wounded by criticism of her, as any spouse would be.
The show just got
Women
real
who
heavy.
work there is also an argument that this court in ruling might be motivated to punish Detective Fuhrman for making these statements about his wife.
You can't really do that in this court, can you?
I think that another judge has to determine whether or not this case can remain before this court.
So another judge has to rule whether Ito can continue. We're in shambles, folks.
This is insane. You couldn't get away with this plot twist in an airport paperback.
And yet here we are.
The problem is it's too risky. If it's perceived that we pushed for mistrial, it would trigger double jeopardy, and in that version, OJ walks.
Yeah, I guess they don't want that either. What does the prosecution do in this case?
What, you think I wouldn't want to do over? I would love to do over all of my mistakes, do over my life, do over my marriage. We have to plow forward.
That might be the only thing that both sides agree on here.
That relates to the judge's wife is very, very small. And because we don't want a mistrial,
yeah,
we
it's not
propose that the tapes be given to Judge Ito with that part redacted.
Yeah, would that work?
I'm going to require time to review this constellation of tapes and transcripts and records. Only after I have a comprehensive understanding can I make a decision.
I mean, that part doesn't really have anything to do with the trial. You're just concerned with Fuhrman's credibility as a witness and his perjury, right?
Judge
Cochran, you have to trust the system.
We need to turn up the pressure.
Pressure? You want to turn up the pressure? This city is about to explode. We have enough pressure.
Probably do, but let's not piss this new judge off.
I told you not to use Fuhrman. How many times did I say it? He's damaged goods.
Chris knew it from the start.
You put me on this trial because you wanted a black face. But the truth is, you never wanted a black voice.
Powerful line.
We demand an immediate federal and state investigation of these tapes.
Yeah.
We demand full.
It's going beyond the trial now.
A community unsettled by the reports of their content. It goes way beyond OJ.
Yep, just said that.
Racist officers unjustly imprisoned, beat, and kill African Americans and other people of color.
Oh my God, this is terrible.
I tried to stop him.
You tried to stop him. Stop the truth from getting out. That's really what's best, Bob.
Release the tapes.
Jesus. Johnny's threatening another riot.
In the O.J. Simpson trial, a court handed down a decision that Judge Ito will be able to rule on the Mark Fuhrman tapes.
So Ito gets to say. He's gonna listen.
This issue can be decided with dispatch. We will present portions of that transcript that are relevant to the credibility of Detective Fuhrman.
Yeah, it's about the credibility. Yeah.
We will also present an additional 17 extracts where Detective Fuhrman speaks with personal experience about police misconduct.
Scary that it happens that often, man.
My job is to defend Ron and Nicole. But the bottom line is not Fuhrman. It's the concrete evidence. The defense just wants to inflame the jury so they forget about the facts and vote emotionally.
Yeah. And with Fuhrman, how do you know that evidence is really real?
We are going to look at the evidence. Because the rest of this stuff is irrelevant.
Fuhrman's the one who found the evidence, not really.
Do not let the jurors hear these tapes. I am begging you from my soul.
It's gonna be the hardest thing he's ever decided in his life, man.
The judge has no choice. He has to play the tapes. They exist.
I don't envy the guy. Hey, pardon my French, but he's screwed either way.
Ito is up shit creek, man. Pardon my French.
Now, I have not yet decided what tape excerpts are appropriate for the jury to hear.
But yeah, they have to hear something.
I don't want there to be any impression that the court would ever suppress any information. These tapes have become a matter of national concern.
Again, it's beyond the trial.
National concern? This is a double homicide, Your Honor, not a Ron Contra.
Miss Clark, the court in its wisdom has made a determination.
Why do we have to broadcast them?
Truth, Miss Clark, the truth.
Oh, no.
You presented a defense that is based completely on lies and deceptions. Just teasing the public, the media, by throwing them bits of the tapes.
They're about to throw down.
And the court has allowed them to walk
Mr. Jordan, you are close to being held in contempt.
Well, I should be held in contempt.
Wow.
There's nothing funny here.
Mr. Jordan.
Yeah, you should sit down.
I am warning you. A good piece of advice. Take 3 deep breaths, then contemplate what you are about to say next.
Yeah, Darden needs to cool off.
I would like counsel, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Darden, you can have counsel. Do you wish to call your counsel at this time, Mr. Darden?
Who's it gonna be, Marcia?
Mr. Darden is simply responding to the unfair events that have occurred in this courtroom today and other days. The court has been exploited by counsel for cross purposes.
Ms. Clark, I think perhaps you need to take 10 deep breaths, for you also are about to be held in contempt.
Oh, no. Prosecution's falling apart, man.
Perhaps some of my comments may have been, or
May have
somewhat
been?
inappropriate. I apologize to the court.
Well, that's what he needed to save himself.
All right, Mr. Darden, I accept your apology. I apologize to you for my reaction as well.
Can we talk about these tapes now?
Yes. Thank you for coming. Yes, no justice, no peace. No justice.
I've never seen it that crazy outside a courtroom. Like, I don't know if they actually really showed all that in real time, like on CNN, but...
We kicked the door down. I grabbed a girl that lived there, grabbed her by the hair and stuck a gun to her head and used her as a barricade. I walked up and I said, I've got this girl, I'll blow her brains
that's
out
not what a
with
cop
my
should do.
gun." Then I threw the bitch down the stairs.
Can we use that in the story?
It hasn't been 7 years. Statute of limitations.
Oh, wow. The statute of limitations card.
We broke their bones until their faces were mush. There was blood all the way to the ceiling and finger marks like they were trying to crawl out.
How's this guy not in jail?
Falsifying a report? Whatever. That's putting a criminal in jail. That's being a policeman.
Oh, disgusted, man. Everybody in the room has the same reaction.
This is now the Fuhrman trial. This is not a trial about the man that murdered my son.
Poor Goldman's, man.
Mark Fuhrman's initials are MF.
MF.
I guess that's funny.
That's a little funny.
But I don't feel like laughing.
Yeah.
Ito could save our asses. He
Oh?
could decide it's all irrelevant and not let the jurors hear anything.
Yeah, that's not going to happen at this point.
I'm so sorry I didn't listen to you.
Mm-hmm.
You deserved better.
It was pretty tense at the beginning when Jordan was interviewing
I know
him for
I'm
the
too
first time,
stubborn.
but yeah.
I shouldn't have bet on Fuhrman.
It's a hard one, though, because he's the one who found the evidence, but his credibility is just gone now.
About those gloves.
And yeah, true about the gloves, too. Let's just agree that we both screwed up.
Ito is releasing the decision.
Okay.
Come on, come on, come on.
All right. Final decision, what's it say?
No.
No.
No?
It was a nightmare. Ito
What?
shafted us.
Jury's not going to hear it?
Ito cares about is the perjury. Fuhrman testified that he didn't say the word, so 2 sentences prove otherwise.
What about the other 13 hours?
The perjury is important, but yeah.
13 hours of tapes down to 2 sentences. In the history of American jurisprudence, never...
Johnny, stop. You're turning this into a referendum.
It might be enough, though. Like, they painted the picture of Fuhrman.
He's knocked out the manufacturing of evidence. That's what gets us to the planted glove.
But we've been hired to defend a client, not to burn down a city. No, I'm sorry that you're disappointed, and I understand everything
No, you
you're
don't.
going...
It's impossible. There is no way you can understand what this is like, Bob.
Tell him, Johnny.
It's one of the cruelest, unfairest decisions ever rendered.
He's going on record.
Now, Judge Ito is misleading this jury. Now, all the world knows who Mark Fuhrman really is.
Yeah, I hope they do.
Our jury.
Yeah.
Our jury will be left in the dark, but the citizens of Los Angeles should remain calm.
So he's calling on them not to riot, so...
I'd hoped to accomplish so much.
Johnny, you have. Johnny, you have. Those 2 lines say plenty.
I hope they're enough, right?
The hell with O.J. Simpson. He is an imperfect vessel, but you got your message out there.
It is a big thing, and hopefully for their sake, it's a big thing in the trial. This is why this show began with the Rodney King beatings, even though the Rodney King beatings don't have anything directly to do with the O.J. Simpson case. Okay, this is a little crazy.
We call Detective Mark Fuhrman to resume the witness stand.
Yeah. How you gonna get out of this, buddy? Ask the same questions again and see what happens. Everybody's staring.
It's hard to be hated by both sides.
No kidding.
You are reminded, Detective, that you are still under oath.
Yeah, Ito hates him too. Say that shit about my wife. Oh, yeah, Darren doesn't even want to be in the same room.
Detective Fuhrman, was the testimony you gave at the preliminary hearing in this case completely truthful?
No?
I wish to assert my Fifth Amendment privilege.
Oh, it's pleading the fifth.
Have you ever falsified a police report?
I wish to assert my Fifth Amendment privilege.
Oh, man.
Detective
He's
Fuhrman,
incriminating himself, but,
is it
you know,
your intention to
he knows
assert
what he's
your
doing.
Your Honor, can we curtail this performance piece? The witness has already made clear that he will not answer any further questions.
Actually, Your Honor, may I ask just one last question?
Got one that'll answer?
Did you plant or manufacture any evidence in this case?
Like, he either says I plead the fifth or no, so...
I assert my Fifth Amendment privilege.
Yikes. Didn't answer, but probably didn't have to.
Oh, man. Fuhrman framed me. He framed me. And that was something, huh?
Yeah, it was a real success for the defense.
Well, I won't be wearing these much longer.
Ashton still got his doubts.
Marcia, I've been looking for you. The ruling just came in.
The ruling?
Ruling?
What did Ito do now?
Ito? No, the ruling in your divorce.
Oh, that ruling.
I got primary custody.
Yeah. Well,
So you got everything.
you gotta win in that case. Probably not all she wants right now, but, you know, I'm sure she's happy about that. And that's the episode. All right. Let's talk about it. There's a lot to talk about in that one. All right. Thank you guys for watching my reaction to episode 9 of The People vs. O.J. Simpson. Lot to digest there. A lot. Basically, the Mark Fuhrman tapes are discovered. Johnny and Lee go to North Carolina to get the tapes released because the person who has the tapes doesn't want to release them. Just wants to sell her screenplay type of thing. So, and then they find out that Ito's wife is mentioned in the tapes, and there's a big conflict of interest. Like, we saw, it was episode 4, I believe, when we first saw Ito, he's talking to his wife, and, he gives his wife the form saying, do you know any of these people? And she stares at the form and stares at the name Mark Fuhrman for a very long time before saying, no, I don't know these people. And turns out it was a lie. Or at least a misremembering, I guess, but they definitely knew each other. So they got a rule on Ito even being able to continue with the case, and if he can't, there's a mistrial. So kind of a double-edged sword, because the defense doesn't want a mistrial. They wanted the tapes into the court, but if they have to lose Ito and start all over again, then that's not what they want. The prosecution doesn't really want it either, because if they're seen like pushing for the mistrial, it kind of makes them look like they had a bad case and they made a bunch of mistakes, and they kind of did. Marsha admitted to Fuhrman being a bad idea, and Chris admitted to the glove being a bad idea. They kind of set aside all their differences there. What's really interesting about this episode is how it goes beyond the OJ case. Like, it's not just about, a cop lying in court. It's about what this guy is all about. Like it's proof that there's crooked cops out there, and he might not be the only one. Like, he talks about, beating them. He talks about fabricating evidence. He talks about, lying in court, basically like he did before. It's a big thing, not just in the OJ case, but, it's proof that, the LAPD has some bad apples, maybe not all of them, but it exists. It goes back to why the very first scene in this show was nothing to do with OJ at all. It was the Rodney King stuff, because that's the climate of people's attitude towards the cops at the time. Even though the two cases were very different and very separate cases from themselves, they shared that common bond of mistrusting the LAPD and, the LAPD behaving badly, I guess. They were never actually proved whether Fuhrman did anything with the evidence in this case, but for him to plead the fifth, if you ask him, did you fabricate evidence? Like, if he can truthfully say no, he will truthfully say no. But for him to say he pleads the fifth, it's like, okay, you didn't answer, but you don't have to answer. Like, we got all we need. Yeah, there were a lot of points in this episode where I wasn't talking because I was just, like, stunned by what I was hearing. Like, I can't believe what I heard. Like, even, I know this case. Like, I've heard about this case. I know who Mark Fuhrman was, but just watching it in that episode right now, like, even though I knew the truth, like, kind of watching the truth unfold as everyone else learned it within the show, it's like I was hearing it for the first time, like, and I was disgusted. And yeah, by the end of the episode, OJ's confident. He's, like, saying, I'm not going to be wearing these prison clothes much longer. He basically thinks he won the case, and the defense kind of thinks he won the case, but, a thing we have to remember, even if Mark Fuhrman did do something corrupt with the evidence in this case, that does not mean OJ is innocent. And that's kind of a thing that we all have to remember when talking about this. And like, it's kind of a thing the jury would have to remember. Like, I don't know how much he did, but that non-answer that he gave is definitely proof that maybe something went on. Completely planted blood or completely like move the gloves or anything like that. But that non-answer is probably proof that something happened. But that does not mean OJ is innocent. Like, maybe he was guilty, but a cop like Fuhrman, who, like, is used to doing stuff like that, as, illustrated in the tapes, like, maybe he would want to make sure. It was never proven that he did anything specifically, but that non-answer raises a lot of questions about that. So yeah, we're getting to the end. We got one episode left in the TV show, and the episode is titled The Verdict, obviously. So, yeah, can't wait to see how the show ends, but that will wait until next time. Thank you guys so much for tuning into my reaction. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Check out my sports vlogging channel. And until next time, this is Jordan saying you can be productive sitting at home on your couch. All you need is a TV, a great catalog, and a vision. This has been JordangeVision. Have a good one, guys. Take care, and bye-bye.